when a guy signs up and he's been through a number of dates and he's just like, yeah, it's just not working out. Like, I just don't like any of these women. Do you ever try to pinpoint or communicate to him that maybe the problem is him? Or where do you go with that? How do you solve that problem? Where it's like he's been on a lot of dates and just nothing is clicking. Or maybe that's not a problem. I don't know. Maybe that's just the process and it's just going to be a lot of dates for a long time.
Well, I actually have an interesting response to this because I did this a lot in person and now I just do it virtually. I do something called a mock date, which is a date between my client and me. And when I did this in person, it was kind of like I explained the ins and outs and what this looks like, and I'm just like, okay, if the feedback is coming back that there's no romantic connection, we're just kind of missing the mark and something's going on. You and I need to go on a date, and we need to figure out what's happening here. If it's something that's a little bit more tangible that he can give me feedback on right away. So if maybe these women are just attraction wise, it's not working, like there's something there, that's when my intuition and we have to really work together to strategize to just kind of change things up a little bit, to just kind of tweak a little bit. Like, what is it? It's really about having real honest conversations. And I think if you can have that with your matchmaker, it's just kind of continuing to place you in a position where you need to have real and authentic conversations in your relationships. So you're practicing with me. Like, be honest with me and let's figure out what's working and what's not. But mock dates definitely help because I can often sometimes see that some of my male clients are kind of they're putting their best self forward, but it feels very friendly. So oftentimes there's just a little bit of tweaking that we can do in terms of like body language and flirting tips and compliments to kind of just boost the
The
romance in a
sexy part.
situation where you're meeting someone. Yeah, exactly. So many people forget about that because of course, you want to be respectful. We're living in COVID time, so you don't want to be inappropriate. But a lot of all of this just revolves around communicating and again, just making someone feel special. That goes such a long way.
So I would say that like I really track feedback really intensely. And if I have a client that we have to like recalibrate our search, or they've been on X many dates and something's not working, either I will often be upfront and say, well, out of these 6 dates that you went on, 4 of the women said that you didn't ask enough questions and they didn't feel like you were interested or curious about them, and it turns them off and they weren't interested in a second date. Like, and that's not me saying that, that's for, people. So I try to get really analytical about sort of consistent notes and go from there. But then also I will own if we're looking at women that are maybe a little bit more like outgoing and interested in slightly a different like energy than we like kind of originally talked about, then I'll shift gears too. It's like I want to come at this from like what I can do on my end and how to recalibrate on my end, but then also be like, and this is where you're getting in the way of yourself too.
Yeah, there's definitely that fine line between this is what I can offer you and this is what you need to do. And I wouldn't be doing you a service as your matchmaker and as your friend and someone that you can trust if I didn't tell you you have all the tools. You need to tweak this a little bit.
Who's each of your favorite type of client, male, to work with? Because I can imagine maybe, you might intuitively think, oh, if you get a rich, super handsome, strong, tall guy, that you guys might be like, oh, love it. I can get this guy, any girl. But that might not be the case because this guy might be just terrible to work with. You never know, right? His attitude, maybe he's super unrealistic or super picky or whatever it is. But I don't know. You tell me. What is your favorite type of client to work with?
I really like the guys that are open to my coaching, which
Me too.
honestly with
those are
men,
my
it's
favorite clients
yeah,
too.
yeah. I love it. Like it could be so case by case for sure. And women are the same. It's just, the nature of the beast. Everyone has their opinions on what they think works and what doesn't. But actually, to go back to a question that you asked like 5 questions ago, but I was thinking about it. I had a client who, when I met with him for the first time, we sat across from each other at a cafe and he slipped me a piece of paper with a list of things he was looking for and pretty much his life story. Like it was front to back. And he said to me, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You read this and come back and I'll come back and we'll talk about it. And I was just like, what? what do you, no, like you're across from me. We could have this conversation. So I kind of thought he was going to be really, really tough. But all this to say, I knew that there were some things in his personality that we probably needed to change and things that maybe he wasn't seeing a lot of success because of. And it was a little bit of a not, not he wasn't doing it on purpose, but he was just a little bit too confident to the point where it didn't seem like he was being true to himself. It was like cocky. It just like it wasn't great. So after his first date, that was pretty much the date feedback. Just, she basically said to me, like, he showed me his watch and he told me, he has like one house here. And I think that we dissected it a lot deeper. And, that all that information just kind of came from a place of insecurity. He's like, I want her to like me. Like, why am I not going to talk about the things that are great about me? But in reality, I gave him the feedback and he ran with it. And he was so much more interested in coaching than I originally thought. And I told him the truth. I was like, I kind of thought you were a nightmare.
Yeah, no, that feedback is important. I mean, especially in your guys' line of work, it's all about, the whole thing is feedback. They're going to be going on these dates. Women are going to be going on these dates. And they're not, most of the dates won't necessarily work out. So they're going to be asking, what did I do? What did they think? And you're going to be telling them the reason why it didn't work out. Unless they didn't care because maybe they're the one who's not interested, but still eventually that's going to happen and they have to be able to take feedback. So I can imagine someone who can take feedback and can take the coaching you're going to give them through whatever it is that you feel that they need to fix for next time is very important.
Yeah. I mean, we tell all of our clients we have like such a holistic approach, and if you utilize us for everything that we have to offer, any dating tips and coaching and, wardrobe, all these different things, we're here. So the worst thing you can do in this process is just expect to get solely matches and not have a partnership with your matchmaker and really utilize everything we bring to the table, because you have a dating expert and you have a woman in your corner. She's going to tell you what works and what doesn't. So, it will serve you best to listen and just be the best version of yourself and the best dater. And that way, even if it's a numbers game and you're meeting a number of people, you're positioning yourself so that when you meet the right person, you're good, you've practiced.
Yeah, I think that matchmaking is like you get in or you get out of it what you put into it. And sometimes like some of my clients don't want my coaching, and I totally respect that. Some of this is also just about really refining the kind of person that you're looking for, combined with my estimation or my gauge of who I think you're compatible with. And some people don't want feedback. And I also totally respect that too. Matchmaking is like, it has a lot of layers to it. And I have very different relationships and cadences with all of my clients based on what they're looking for and kind of what they want out of this process as well, which I think is part of the fun and the joy of it as well.